it's Sasha. I'm so excited today to be testing products from the new ColourPop Sailor Moon collaboration. Here are the swatches for the eyeshadow palette. This is a very colorful palette. Some of the bright shades include yellow, coral, pink, and an orchid shade. There's a mix of finishes including matte, metallic, foiled, and super shock. A lot of these shades have a high level of pigmentation, and there's a fair amount of chunky glitter as well. One of the things I love about Sailor Moon is that it's about transformation. There are a lot of really fun and interesting colors in this eyeshadow palette, but today I wanted to do two different looks for you. One that's more of an everyday look, which I'll call the Usagi or Serena look. The second look will represent her Sailor Moon side, so I wanted to dip into some of the more glamorous and colorful shades. So let's get right into it. So first I'm going to start with the everyday look. I already have some base makeup on, which I'll link in the description box below. To get started, I'm going to use a little of this shade here called Twilight Flash. Just going to take it on a fluffy brush and kind of put it down as a base shade. I'm working it into the crease and on the outer corner of the lid as well. Same thing on the other side. So this look is kind of inspired by Sailor Moon in her everyday life. In the Japanese version she's called Usagi, and in the American version that I watched I think she was called Serena. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this shade here called Moon Castle. I'm just going to take a little bit on the small brush, kind of work it in a diagonal direction. This one seems to be a little more pink, whereas Twilight Flash is a little more tan or coral. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to take some of this Moon Castle shade on the bigger fluffy brush and work it all over the lid. It seems to have a fair amount of pigmentation, so it's coming out as kind of a nice soft pink look. Just going to work that in and soften up all those edges. Now I'm going to take a small smudge brush into Moon Castle. I'm just going to work the color along the bottom of the lash line as well. I don't want anything too dramatic at this point, I just want it to be kind of soft and subtle. I'm not taking this all the way across, I'm just kind of starting from about a third of the way in and working to the outer corner. Now I'm going to take that same brush into this shade here called Silver Millennium. I'm just going to brush that in kind of as an inner corner highlight. This is a pretty glittery shade, it's one of their Super Shock formulas I think. I'm going to use my finger to get a little bit more of that glitter. Same thing on the other side. With these Super Shock formulas I feel like if you use your finger you get a little bit better application. If you use the brush, sometimes it's hard to get a lot at once. I'm just going to use my finger to sort of blend that in with the other shades we have on the eye. Now I'm going to take this into Silver Millennium again just to do the bottom highlight. I only need a little bit here, so I think the brush is better for that more precise application. I'm not quite sure why they put Super Shock shades in eyeshadow palettes. I kind of wish they just do normal pressed powder. I think pressed powder is a lot easier to work with than something that's like super creamy like this, but maybe that's just me. Now I'm going to use the ColourPop BFF Creme Gel Liner. This one is in the shade Brouhaha, which is sort of a dark brown. So I'm just going to apply this on the outer corner of the eye. I don't want to go all the way across because I want the inner corner highlight to stand out on its own, but I just want to create kind of a nice soft liner here. Same thing on the other eye. I want to do a little bit more of a flick out here. For mascara today, I'm going to use this Milani Highly Rated Mascara. This one is a nice, affordable mascara. It just seems to work really well for me. Kind of wiggle it from root to tip. I don't want to go too crazy with this look, because it's more of an everyday look. Now for the other eye. If you've been enjoying this video, please like or subscribe. I post new beauty videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Central, and I'd love to see you there. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be the first to watch my new videos. Now I'm going to do a little blush and bronzer. Today I have this custom set I got from ColourPop. I'm going to start with this shade here called Why Hello. This one is a really nice kind of soft light peachy pink. They actually have Sailor Moon blushes as part of this collection. I went online to buy the Sailor Moon collection right when it launched, and I actually missed out on the blush because it sold out before I could check out. That was like within 10 minutes of when it was launched, which is pretty crazy. But the colors are pretty bright and highly pigmented, so I feel like the shade here called Why Hello is a little bit more useful in my kind of everyday looks. Next thing I'm going to use a little of this highlighter. It's called Here Kitty Kitty. This one is sort of a nice light champagne shade. Just going to take it over the cheekbone here on both sides. Add a little bit to the brow bone as well. Down the nose, cupid's bow, and top of the chin. For lips today, I'm going to use this Ultra Glossy Lip that's part of the Sailor Moon collection. This shade is actually called Sailor Moon. So they call this one a pinky coral gloss with gold pinpoints. It definitely seems to have a fair amount of glitter to it. It smells really nice though, like vanilla or something. Since this is kind of a soft everyday look, I just wanted to use this one because it seems fairly sheer. I really like this Ultra Glossy Lip formula. I just did a review of a whole bunch of their new Luxe glosses, which I'll link below, but I do really like this Ultra Glossy Lip formula. It just smells so good, it tastes really good, and I think it's actually my favorite over the Luxe. I can't believe I almost forgot bronzer. Today I'm going to use this Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the light shade. Just going to apply a little bit of this, kind of in a C shape under the cheeks. I knew something was missing. I was like, why does my face look a little too pale? And I like to apply some along the hairline as well. Because I always have my hair down, this usually looks like super pale up here. Now I'm going to apply down the sides of my nose, under the jaw, and down the neck. I really like the way this came out. I feel like it's a very wearable look. When I first looked at this eyeshadow palette, I was actually pretty surprised by just how bright it was, especially knowing how pigmented ColourPop shades were. I was like, what am I going to do with these? How am I ever going to wear them? I'm really glad that they included some that are softer and more neutral because I feel like you can still carry this palette with you and create a nice, softer, everyday look. So that's it for look number one. I'm going to wash all this off and transform myself again into a more glamorous Sailor Moon style look. But I think I'm going to need a little bit of help. Fortunately, I think I have something that just might do the trick. Moon Prism Power Makeup! In the TV show, this would be the part where Sailor Moon gets magically transformed in her alternate dimension where she gets covered in ribbons and music plays and everything is glamorous and magical. Unfortunately, I don't have special moon powers in real life, so we're going to have to do things the low-tech way. But I'm not entirely without help. Today I have some beautiful Sailor Moon inspired makeup brushes. I got these for about $15 off Amazon and they have handles inspired by the different Sailor Moon wands. The quality of these brushes isn't the most amazing in the world, but I was really excited to have the chance to try these out with my Sailor Moon makeup. So today I'll try and use these as much as I can as I do the more glamorous Sailor Moon look. To get started, I'm going to lay down a light base of this Twilight Flash shade. This brush is a lot more dense than I normally use for this kind of thing. They don't really have a big fluffy blending brush in this set, so it's a little bit more tricky than usual. We'll just try and do the best we can with this. I'm kind of trying to work it into the crease as a transition and on the edge of the lid as well. This doesn't seem too bad so far. Now I'm going to use some of this Miracle Romance shade. This is more of a packing brush, so we'll kind of see how this goes. I'm kind of trying to work it in a bit of a cat eye shape onto the hooded part of my eye here. Because I have a bit of a hooded brow, I like to always stop and kind of see where that cat eye shape is going to fall. It's a little bit tricky to do because you never quite know how it's going to look until you actually like open your eye and look at it. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Kind of press that in, look at where that cat eye is going to fall, and create a similar shape with that. It's kind of interesting using different brushes because I feel like it's forcing me to do things a little bit differently than I normally do. Just kind of use the last of this to blend out those edges. Same thing on this side. Now I'm going to use this beautiful bright coral shade called Love. I'm going to just take a little bit on this kind of packing brush and press it in on the eyelid. I want to lay it down in a nice kind of base layer. It's a really bright shade. I don't know if I would call this like an everyday shade, but it's a really pretty kind of bright pink and I feel like it goes really well with that orchid that we have down next to it. Just going to press in some more of this. Using a packing brush like this definitely makes things come out a lot more dense than I usually do. I'm so tempted just to reach over and grab a blending brush and just soften all these edges. I'm trying so hard not to because we gotta get the full power of these amazing Sailor Moon brushes, right? Wow, this is so bright. It's almost like neon pink. Now I'm just gonna use a little bit of this yellow tone here called Justice. Just taking it on this kind of tiny packing brush. Just using it as an inner corner kind of base tone. Just give it a little pop of yellow there. All of these shades have like so much glitter in them. Even the ones that look like they're going to be matte have like little glitter particles too. It's kind of crazy. I think only Twilight Flash here and Moon Castle are solid mattes. Even the ones that look like they're matte still have glitter in them. Now I want to tone that yellow down just a little bit. So I'm going to use some of this beautiful gold shade here called Full Moon. I swatched some of these shades in the middle, but they were just like super creamy and chunky. I prefer something like Full Moon that's a little bit more in the shimmer range. For some reason, the shimmers tend to not fall in my eyes as much as something like the super chunky, super shock shades. I really like the way that this blends on top of the yellow. I feel like it adds a really nice kind of shimmery highlight and tones down a little bit of the vibrancy. I'm just going to use my finger to blend that in a little bit. One thing I really like about this brush set is they did include an angled eyeliner brush. So first I'm going to take this into Miracle Romance, and I'm just going to take this shade along my lower lash line. I'm not taking it all the way across, just about 2/3. I want to make sure it meets up with this cat eye shape here. Now same thing on the other side. Just kind of draw this under the lower lash line. Make sure that it goes about 2/3 way across. I'm also going to use this to sharpen up that cat eye shape just a little bit here. Now I want to take just a little bit of this shade here called Luna. I'm going to use it on this angled eyeliner brush. I'm going to draw it as an inner corner highlight, but only on the lower side. This is just a really beautiful kind of iridescent bluish purple shade. I think it looks so pretty against that bright yellow. This is definitely not the kind of look that I would wear in my normal life, but it's really fun to have some different colors to play around with. Just trying to make sure this blends in with that beautiful purple shade right along the middle of my eye. Okay, I really like the way that this is looking so far. Now I'm going to move on to mascara. Today I'm using the Milani Highly Rated Mascara. I like this brush because you have a fair amount of control with it. I feel like I'm less likely to make mistakes. I still make them sometimes though. Now I'm going to take this and wipe it off on a tissue before I do lower lashes. I'm just going to take this vertically over those lower lashes. Just want to give them a hint of color, not too much. Now I'm going to move on to blush. For blush today I have the Honest Beauty Lit Powder Blush in the shade Flirty. This one is a beautiful kind of luminous pink shade. Since I wasn't able to get the wonderful Sailor Moon blushes, I tried to pick one that was kind of in a similar color range. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this with this beautiful Sailor Moon blush brush. This one is pretty highly pigmented too, which I really like. It also has some nice luminosity to it. It's also not sold out, which is a huge advantage. I'm going to go more heavy-handed on the blush today because the eyes are so colorful. I feel like you want to balance it out. I want to do more of a glamorous chunky highlighter today, so I want to use some of the shade here called Silver Crystal. Just going to take a little bit on my pinky here and kind of pat it in along the cheekbone. I think that is so pretty as a highlighter, especially as I blend it out a bit. You can really see the shimmer there, and because it's already in the palette, you don't have to reach for another highlighter. Same thing on the other side. Just trying to use a light touch with this and put it along the cheekbone. I'm also going to put it along the brow bone. This one definitely has a nice bit of glitter to it. I'll put it down the nose, Cupid's bow, tip of the chin. I feel like we could use just a little bit more since we're going for that super glam look. Why not, right? Now I'm going to use some of the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in Light. I'm going to apply it using that same blush brush, put some in the hollows of the cheeks, down the sides of the nose, along the hairline, and down the jaw and neck. Now I'm going to use the ColourPop Sailor Moon Ultra Blotted Lip. This one is sold individually or in a set with the Ultra Glossy Lip I used earlier. This shade is called Bunhead, which they describe as a sheer rosy pink. It actually looks pretty bright to me, so I think it might go well with this colorful eye look. So let's try it out and see. This is a really beautiful pink shade. I love it with the colors in this eyeshadow. I've never used their Ultra Blotted Lip before, so it's really interesting to test it out. It's almost more like a stain. It doesn't feel like a matte layer or anything over the top of my lips. It just feels very comfortable. As far as the color goes, it's quite bright. I really do like it with this eye look though. I feel like there's so many kind of warm, bright colors in it that you kind of need a bold lip to match. I do like the way that this looks on its own. I think you could leave it just like this. But just because I'm curious, I'm going to put some of this Sailor Moon Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Sailor Moon over the top of it. This is that really pretty kind of sheer coral shade. One thing to note about the Ultra Blotted Lip is that it does emphasize any like dry or chapped skin you might have on your lips. So something like this Ultra Glossy Lip just makes it have a bit more of a forgiving finish. I also just love the way that gloss catches the light. I feel like it just looks a little bit more glamorous. I think this also looks really cute under the glossy lip. It does move it a little bit more in kind of the reddish direction, whereas I feel like by itself it's a little bit more pink or mauve. So that's it for look number 2. Now just to do a quick review. I was really excited to see this ColourPop collaboration with Sailor Moon. I remember coming home from school and it would be on at like 4:30, and I'd sit and watch it with my sister. I don't know if you guys had a favorite Sailor, but mine was definitely Sailor Mars. Sailor Moon was kind of what got me into anime in the first place, and so it will always hold a special place in my heart. As far as the colors in this one, I was actually kind of surprised that they were so bright. When I think of Sailor Moon, I think of the bold colors like of each Sailor's outfit, like Sailor Mercury being kind of that beautiful blue, Sailor Mars being red, and Sailor Moon having like that beautiful royal blue and red and yellow. To see things like bright pink and coral and orchid, I guess it was a little bit different than I expected, but I do really feel like these colors help provide that 90s nostalgia, and they do fit in with Sailor Moon as a brand. While I was able to create kind of a soft everyday look using some of these more neutral shades, I do feel like this palette definitely skews more towards colorful and glittery and a little bit more playful looks. I don't feel like this is kind of that neutral everyday palette that I could recommend to everyone I know. By far one of my favorite things about this collaboration is just how beautiful and collectible each piece feels. I love this shimmery foil finish on the packaging, and it's so cute how the front of the eyeshadow palette is a hologram too. The lip colors were also really fun to use. I like how this Bunhead Ultra Blotted Lip was more bright and colorful, while the Sailor Moon Ultra Glossy Lip was more of an everyday kind of shiny topper. The packaging for these is also really cute. They have kind of a foil finish on the cap, and these came together in the Moonlight set, which has a really cute Sailor Moon and Luna graphic on the front. Unfortunately, these sold out almost immediately on ColourPop's website, but they did announce on Twitter that they're working on a restock. If you have your heart set on this eyeshadow palette, especially as a collector's item, I highly recommend staying informed on ColourPop's social media. Considering the first run of this sold out almost immediately, there's probably going to be a huge demand for the restock as well. I highly recommend setting your alarms and making sure that you're on time if possible. However, if you do want to celebrate your love of Sailor Moon, these brushes are widely available on Amazon. This set of 8 I think was about $15, and I'll put the link in the description below. They also came in this really cute velvet and gold case. These are not official items, they're definitely inspired by. I did like the feel of these brushes. I love how they're synthetic and they seem to perform pretty well. I just didn't understand why they had like 2 or 3 packing brushes instead of a fluffy blender brush, because the fluffy blender brushes are like my staples in my collection. I hope you found this video helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments if you're familiar with Sailor Moon, and if so, which is your favorite Sailor. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.